session basically what we will do. So basically we are going to conduct the day 4 syllabus. Okay, so in a day 4 basically we will complete the SQL data type, then we will also complete the SQL constraint, then SQL operator, and the SQL the clauses, what are the different type of clauses, and then we will complete the SQL function. So basically in a day 4 basically we will go one by one. We will also check the theoretical part as well as we will also conduct the practical session as well. Okay, so we will go one by one. What is the different type of SQL data type? So this is a one common question asked in an interview as well as when you are going to implement any kind of the table or any kind of the database that you are importing into the SQL server. That time first question asked that which type of data type we should assign for that particular column. Okay, so basically if suppose for example we will take one example like the student table. So okay, so in the student table basically if you check that this is a student table, and in this student table there are four columns. Okay, so basically based on the data we will decide the data type. Okay, so we will check what are the different type of data types available in a SQL. So string data type, then numeric data type, then date and time data type, then boolean data type, then binary data type. Okay, so these are the different type of data types available in a SQL. Then SQL constraint. So we will also check the what are the different type of SQL constraint. Okay, so constraint basically it will be set the rules and regulation over the that column. Okay, so basically if we assign the constraint, then it will be restrict the data for the inserting into the that column. Okay, so for example if we decide the primary key, then we have the unique key constraint, then not null constraint, then check constraint, then default constraint, then foreign key constraint. So these are the different type of constraint available in a SQL. So we will also check practically as well. Then the SQL operator. So different type of SQL operator like arithmetic operator, comparison operator, logical operator, then SQL like operator, then in between operator, then is null, is not null. This is operator. Then allies, SQL allies as a as keyword that will use for the allies. Then SQL join operator. So these are the different type of operator available in a SQL, and this operator basically as per the requirement we will use that operator. When and how we can use, we will check in a practical session. Okay, the clauses. So basically the clauses basically that will be defined as the different type of clauses like select clause, where clause, order by clause, group by clause, having clause, then join clause, distinct clause, limit or top clause, offset clause, union all clause, then exist clause, then any all or case statement clause. So basically these are the different type of clauses available in a SQL, and we will also check the practically how we can use that clauses as well. Okay, then functions. So basically the different type of function available in a SQL. First one is a user defined function, second one is a system function. Okay, so user defined function means when the developer will create the function that we call as a user defined function, and the second one is a system function. So in SQL having the inbuilt function that we called as a basically system function. So basically like we have categorized the function into the aggregation function. So these are the default function or inbuilt function in a SQL, like some count, average, mean, max. These are the different type of function available in a SQL. Then string function. So basically when we perform the string related operation, like we are counting the length of the string, then trim the string, then substring, then concatenate, then we will use the string function. And date and time function like get date. So we will, if suppose we require the current date, then we can add the date. Then for example date add, date difference. These are the different type of the date function available in a SQL. So this basically we will check this four type of the clauses, this operator, and these things in a current this session. Okay, so we will go first of all the theoretical part. I will not explain the more about the theoretical part because of I will provide you the notes for the theoretical part. We will go for the practical session most of you. Okay, so basically we will check in the last session we already created the student table, department table. So based on that, we will check the how we can different type of data type we will use. Okay, so now in this session I will create the another table, and I will show you how we can decide the table, how we can decide the data type. Okay, so basically the SQL data type. So first of all, the data types that can be store in a column. Basically the when we define what is the definition of the data type. So data type is define the type of the data that can be stored in a column. Okay, that ensure the data integrity and optimize the storage. Okay, so for example, string or character data type. Okay, so for example, in this data type, basically we have the different type of data type available, like char data type. Okay, so it is a fixed length string. Okay, so basically this data is useful for the string related data. Okay, so for example, char, then we will decide the length of the character data type, like 10, and we will store the like SQL. This is the string that we are storing into the character data type. Okay, then varchar, this is the most popular the data type, like this is the variable length string up to n character. Okay, so for example, how we can define the like varchar, and then we will decide then we will define the length, like 10 is the length of the data type. Okay, and then we will store the SQL. This is the string. Then text, then another one kind of the the string character data type, like text. It is a large text data, like suppose for example we are storing the any kind of the paragraph. Okay, so that time we will use the text data type. Okay, then basically these are the different type of the string data type available in a SQL. Okay, so we will check the with example, like for example we have the user table, and in a user table, basically if suppose we need to define the like the length of the table, like for that time how we can define the this one. Okay, so for that, so 1 second. For example, if suppose we are creating the user table, and user table having the name, this is the column. So name indicating that key this the column store the character the string type of data. So that time we will create the table with the column. For the name column we will use a varchar data type, because of it is the string type of the database. Okay, data type. So we will define the length of the like 15. Okay, so I will show you the this student table, and we will check the how we can define the data type for the this student table. Okay, and, then practically. Okay, so then basically numeric data type. So basically numeric data type. So for that, in a numeric data type there is a four type of the data type, like integer. So it is a integer whole number, basically 10, then minus. This is the example of the like the data type. Okay, then big int. So it is a larger integer value. For the storing the larger integer value, we will use a big integer. Then decimal. So the decimal having the two the parameter, like precision and the scale. Okay, so fixed precision decimal. So for example, if suppose we define the decimal 10 comma 2, so this is the precision, and this is the scale for the, for example, 1 2 3 4 5 up to the dot point. For the this is the one precision, and after that this is the scale, like up to 2 digit of the scale. Then floating data type. So for the floating data type, like approximate floating point number, so it will also the same like the decimal, but it will be basically it will be convert the around the number. Okay, so this is a float data type. So basically these are the different type of the data type. Then third one is the date and time data type. So basically when we store the data, like for example date type of the value, like for example current date or any date of birth or anything. So for that we will use the date data type. So date, basically it will store the YYY hyphen then dd. This is the format of the data type. Okay, then time, it will store the time, like hours, minute and second. Like this is the example for the time database. Okay, and also we will combine the both date and time using the date and time function. Okay, date and time data type. So store the date and time. So for example, this is the year, then this is a month, this is the date, and this is the time, like hours, minute, and second. Then timestamp. So basically the timestamp also it will be used for the current date and time. So this is a different type of date and time data type. Okay, so how we can create a the for example we will create a table, like for example this is the one query. So event date, so when the event will occur, and we will use a date and time. This is the data type. Okay, then fourth one is a boolean data type. So the boolean data type basically it will be store the true and false value, like it is having the two value like 0 and 1. So boolean data type it will be useful for the storing the true or false value, like the 1 or 0. The 1 indicate as a true and false indicate as a 0. So this is the one more data type. Okay, then the fifth one is the binary data type. So binary data type, like for example, if we for example we are storing the image, then or any kind of the file, that time we will use the binary data type. So that for that we will use the bulb. So this is the data type. Bulb is the one kind of the data type, and for that we will use a binary large object like image or file. Okay, so yeah. So whenever we are storing the any kind of image in a database or any kind of the file like PDF file or any kind of the Excel file, so that time we will use the bulb data type. Okay, so we will also check how we can create a table, like create table like file, and data like the we this is the column for the that table, and this is the data type. Okay, so this is a different type of the data type available in a SQL. So now what we will do, so we will directly check the practicalization how we can create the this kind of the data type and this one. So okay, so then we will go for the constraint, different type of constraint available in a SQL. Okay, so for example I will show you the practical session. Okay, okay, so for example this is the table that we need to store the data, like we have already created the student table and department table, but in this session I will explain you the data type with constraint. So the constraint basically first of all I will explain you the constraint, and then we will go for the practical session. Okay, so for that I will okay, so the SQL constraint. So the constraint basically it will be very important. So basically when we use the constraint and how we can use the constraint and why basically we will use the constraint. So basically constraint in a SQL are the rule applied to the table column to maintain the data integrity, data accuracy, and the reliability. Okay, so for example if we suppose we are storing the data, that will be data which will be accurate data, then data having the data integrity, then the data will be reliable. So reliable in the sense of the it is a decision making the data. So for that we will assign the constraint. So or we will say that the constraint is the rules and regulation over the column. So basically we will apply the some rules. So this kind of data which will be inserted into that column, and this data will not insert into that column. So for that we will assign the constraint. Okay, and how we can add the constraint. So when we create a table, that time we will assign the constraint over the that particular column, or after the creating the table, we will using the alter command we will add the constraint over that column. Okay, so this is the two way we can add the constraint. So basically what are the different type of constraint available in a SQL, like primary key constraint. So this is the first constraint that available in a SQL, like this constraint basically ensure that the column or set of the column has unique value and not cannot be null value in that particular column. the table can be have only one primary key. So it will be also this question asked in an interview, how many number of primary key we can assign particular that column, sorry, particular that table. So only one primary key in a one table. Okay, so basically this is the syntax for the creating the primary key. So for example, if you suppose creating the student table, then the roll number, so roll number integer, and after that we will assign the primary key. So the primary key indicating that this is the one kind of the constraint that define that the column value, it is the unique and not null. So if suppose we assign the primary key, then that column cannot accept the null value, and also it will not accept the duplicate value. Okay, so this is the first, the primary key. Then second one is the unique key. So unique key basically it will be defined as to ensure that all value in that particular column are the unique. So then unique, unlike the primary key, table can have the multiple unique column. Okay, then the example of for the creating the employee table, the employee id is a primary key, and the email id. So this is the second, the column that having the email id, that having the varchar data type. And if you suppose we assign the unique keyword, then it will be ensuring that the no duplicate email in that particular the column. So in a situation where we create a table like employee table, and employee having the employee id and email id. So email id basically it will be unique for the each employee having the unique email id. So if suppose we want ensure that the duplicate email id not enter into that particular column, that time we will assign the unique column. Okay, unique, this is a constraint. Then not null constraint. So basically the not null constraint, basically it will be ensure that column cannot have the null value. So for example, if suppose any column that does not we not required to insert the null value, then we will assign the not null. This is the constraint. So for example, this is the table like the product table, and the first column is the product id, it is the integer type, and we will assign the primary key on the product id. Then second one is a product name. So we will define the data type like varchar 100, and it having the not null. So when we assign the this constraint, so product name cannot be null. So when we insert the data, that time it will be must be insert the value for the product name, otherwise it will be give the error. Okay, then fourth one is the check constraint. So check constraint basically it would be enforce the condition on the column value. Okay, so check constraint basically when we define the check constraint, so before the inserting the data, it will be validate the data, it will be matching particular that condition or not. For example, this is a table like student table, and the roll number having the integer primary key, and the marks. So basically marks is the decimal data type, and it having the precision like the 5, and scale is the 2. So we will assign the check constraint like marks greater than or equal to 0, and marks less than or equal to 100. Basically this is a one kind of the check constraint we have ensuring that the data it will be inserted between the 0 to 100, right? So basically for that we will assign the check constraint, and we will also check the practically as well. Okay, so this is the check constraint. Then the next one is the fifth, the constraint is the default constraint. So with default constraint basically assign the default value if the no value is provided during the insert. So for example, when we inserting the any kind of the value, and suppose user not define any kind of the value for that particular column, so that time it will be checked, it will be taking the default value. For example, this is the order table. So we will creating the order table, and that time the order will be created like the order id one column, the status, this is a second column, and order having the integer type, and it is the primary key, and status having the varchar 20, and default is a pending. So for example, this is the order, the default value for the status is a pending. If suppose we have not provided any kind of the value whenever we inserting the data, So that time it will be inserting the default value. Okay, default value is the pending. So when we not provide any kind of the value, so default pending, the status will be this value will be inserted into the this column. Then sixth one is the foreign key constraint. So foreign key constraint, basically when we for example, it will be ensuring that the referral integrity by linking the column to the another table like a primary key. So for example, this is another table like department table, and department id is the primary key in a department table, and department name, this is second column like varchar 15, and it is a not null. So we have the another table like employee table. Okay, so the when we create employee table, that time employee id have act as a primary key, employee name act as employee name, then department id. This is a three column we have added. But if you check, so we have already created one kind of the foreign key constraint or referral integrity. Like, so for example, in the department table, department id, we are using the as a reference for the in a employee table, like the foreign key, how we can add the foreign key, then department id. So department id from the this employee table, this is the department id, then reference department, so this is a table name, this is a table from the department table, and department id is a column name from the another table like department id. So this way we have created the foreign key for the employee table. Okay, and it will be ensuring the department id exists in a department table. Okay, so this is the one kind of the referral integrity we will create during the creating the table. So the summary for the constraint, so basically there are different type of constraint. So primary key, unique key, not null, check, so default constraint. Okay, so these are the different type of the constraint available in SQL. So now the time is for the practical session. So I will directly show you how we can create the the data type, and then how we can add the constraint in a table. Okay, so for that I will first of all go to the practical session. Okay, so this is a student table and this is a department table. I will copy this two table. Okay, okay, so this is a student table, the day number 4. So this is a student table, and second one is the department table. Okay, so first of all, we will check how we can create a table. Okay, so for that, which type of data type that we will use, and how we can assign the constraint over the that table. Okay, so for that I will go to the data type. So basically, if you check the student table, in a student table, roll number. So roll number is the integer data type, because of we are storing the values like 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So this that's the reason we will use the integer is the data type for the roll number. Then then student name. So if you check the student name, it having the one kind of the string or character data type. Okay, so Ram, Sham, Arun, Nikita, these are the different type of the string related the data. So we will use for that varchar data type. Okay, then then next one is a department. So department, if you check the department, in a department, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, and 2, 2, this is a one kind of the numeric data. So we will define that this is a numeric data type, or we for that we will use a integer data type. Okay, so I will directly go to the my SSMS, and here we have already created the table in a company database. Okay, this is my database, and in that we have already created the two table like student table, department table. Okay, so now what I will do, so I will connect, then I will use my company database. Okay, and now we will use the, so this is for the first is the student table and second is the department table. So in a department table there are two columns. One is the department id, and if you check the department id, it having the numeric value 1 2 3. So for that we will define it is a integer data type. Okay, because of we are storing the numbers like 1 2 3 like that. And then second column is the department name, and it having some the string or character related data like computer, electrical, mechanical. Okay, so for that we will use a varchar data type, and we define the length is a 15. So you can check computer, electrical, it is a one kind of the data, like it is a string related data. Okay, so the now the constraint, so basically the constraint, basically if you check the different constraint that we need to use, we will define the primary key, not null, unique, check, and foreign key. So how we can create the constraint, basically, and default constraint we will check. So basically when we create first of all we will create the table is the department table. Okay, so for that I will open my ssms. So for the creating the department table, so first of all create a department table. Okay, okay. तर आपण directly now we will create a table for the department table. So basically if you check, this is a department table, department id and department name. These are the two type of the column in the department table. So how we can create the table? So we will creating the table using the data type, and also we will assign the constraint. Okay, so how we can assign the constraint? So basically if you check, so this is my syntax for the create table. So I will copy the create table syntax. So if you check the create table department, so now what I will do, so I will create a department one. This is my one table, because of we have the already created one table. So the create table department one, and then the department id is the first column. We will define as the integer as a data type, then primary key. So basically primary key is the unique the department id. So this is the primary key is the constraint that we assign over the department id, because of the department id having the not null and unique record, we need to store in a department id. Okay, so then second one is the department name. So department name we will define the data type like varchar, and we will give the length is a 15 and not null. So basically the department id should be the name is there. So for that we will assign the not null, as well as we will assign the unique. This is the another key, another constraint. So why we assign the this one, so I will explain you. So because of if you check, so the department in a department table, so if you check, so these are the two column, and it computer department having the department id 1, and it is a unique. So it will ensure that key in a department name the unique record or unique value will store. So for that we will define the constraint like unique constraint, because of we need to store the unique value in that particular column. Okay, so now I will do, I will create a table. Now table has created, and how you can check, select star from department 1, and if I run the query, then as of now there is no data. So now what we'll do, so we need to add the data in the department table. Okay, Okay, so the table has created. Then now what we'll do, so secondly we need to also create the student table. So how we can create a student table? So for that I already created the query, so I will directly copy the query. Okay, and I will, so creating the student table. Okay, so for the creating the student table, so okay, so second, create a student table. So if you check, so create table, this is the syntax for the creating the table. Then student is a table name, so I will give the name of the student one. Then roll number, it is an integer and we will assign the primary key. It is a unique student identifier. Okay, then the student name, it is a varchar. And if you check it, also we will assign the not null, this is the constraint. So because of the name cannot be null, because of the roll number having the whatever the roll number for the student, it having the student name as well. Okay, then the department name, department id, it also integer, then not null, most belong to the department table. Okay, then the marks, so we will define the decimal. Either you can define the decimal or you can define the float. It is a up to you or based on the requirement. Okay, so as of now I have defined as the decimal 5 comma 2. And in that I will define the check constraint. Okay, so check the marks greater than or equal to 0. And also we can add one more condition, and marks less than or equal to 100. Because of, we need to, in the marks column we need to data between the 0 to 100, not more than the 100 or not less than the 0. Or if suppose any kind of the numeric value or any kind of the negative value like -1, suppose for example the marks cannot be minus. Okay, so for that we have assigned the check constraint. Okay, then here we define the foreign key constraint. So foreign key constraint, basically it will be references to the department table. So if you check, we have already created one department table, and in that department table we have the department id. So for example, if suppose the we have assigned the reference. Okay, so the foreign key reference like foreign key constraint, like the department id. So in a student table, this is the my department id, it will be refer to the department 1. Okay, department 1 means this is the table, and in that department id, so it will be creating the one kind of the referrer. Okay, so if I execute the data, then it will be command completed successfully, and I will run the select star from student. Okay, so I have created this two table. Okay, now what I will do, I will insert the data in that table. Okay, for the inserting the data we need to write insert statement. Okay, so basically I will use the insert statement for that. Okay, okay, so for the insert into student 1, then here we will define the column. Okay, so column is the roll number, comma student name, comma department then comma marks, and then values. So basically we will store this data. So how we can store the data, like so roll number 1, then in a bracket first name is the Ram, okay, so this is for the first, second, third and fourth. So 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Then 15.50, 1122, okay, 60 and 80. Okay, so first of all we need to insert the data into the department table. Because of the department table we will add the referral integrity. So if the data is existing in the department, then only it will be inserting the data into the student table. Okay, so insert into department. Okay, so department id 1, then department id comma department name, and then values, and then we will add 1, then computer department, 2, 3. Okay, so then electrical, okay, so this is the insert statement. So now we will insert the data into the department table, and now if suppose we will insert the data into the student table, now the data will inserted into the this two table. Okay, now I will add the comment, then I will also add the comment for this and for the this one. So now if you check the student table, so if I execute the query, then this is the data inserted into the student table, and this is the data inserted into the department table. So this way we will check that how we can add how we can check the data type, then how we can add the constraint, and when the data will required for the inserting the constraint, means when we add the constraint for the any particular any table or any kind of the column. Okay, so the now the next, so the next section, so I will go go through further the next, so we will check the constraint, then we will also check the data types. Now we will go for the operator. So what are the different type of SQL operator and how we can use this operator for the any kind of the operation. Okay, so for example, if I go to the practical session, so data type constraint and the SQL operator. Okay, so basically there are different type of operator, like the first retrieve all the student. So for example, I will go through first the theoretical part and then I will go through for the practically. Okay, so the operator, so basically different type of operator available in SQL. So SQL operator, it will be useful for the perform the operation on the data within the query. So basically when we when we retrieve the data or when we perform the any kind of the operation over the data, so that time the operator, it will be useful for the performing the operation, like for example arithmetic operation, or suppose we are the selecting the data particular range, so that time operator, it will be useful. Okay, so the operator that can be categorized into the different type, so based on their functionality. So for example, first operator is the arithmetic operator. Arithmetic operator, basically the operator that basically useful for the mathematical operation, like mathematical calculation on the numeric data. So for example, plus sign, it will be useful for the addition. For example, select 10 plus 5. So for example, if suppose we will perform the like the, for example, this is the arithmetic operator. So for when we arithmetic operator, which will be used, like plus sign is the arithmetic operator, like for example, select 10 plus 5, so it will be 15. So if I suppose execute the query, so 10 plus 5 is 15, so it will be performed like the summation operation, like it will be adding the 10 into the 5, like 15 is the answer for this when we select the query. Okay, then this is the first, then subtraction, then multiplication, division, and modulus. So basically it will be also useful for the modulus for the or we can say that is the reminder. Okay, so if I change the operator, like I will change into the modulus operator, then it will be give the 0. So these are the different type of operator that we call as the arithmetic operator. Then second one is a comparison operator. So comparison operator, in a name like suggesting that it will be useful for the compare the value, like for example equal to. So for example, if suppose we need to like marks equal to 15, so it will be comparing the marks, like it will be checking the data that will be compare the marks equal to 15, like that. Okay, not equal to, then we can also use like this operator, like this the symbol that it basically indicating the not equal to this operator. Okay, so you can use this one also or this one also. Okay, then the greater than, then less than, then greater than equal to, then less than equal to. So this is the different type of comparison operator, and this we will check in a last session as well. So I will take one example, like so we have the student table, and for example, so the comparison operator, so it will be compare the data, like select star from student 1, where marks greater than 15. If suppose I execute this query, then whatever the marks greater than 15, so like 15.5, 16, then 80, these are the different type of marks that having the greater than the 50, all the data it will be retrieved. Okay, so these are the different type of comparison operator. Then we will check the next operator like the logical operator. So logical operator basically it will be filtering the data based on the multiple condition, like this is the logical one kind of the logical operator. So if I show you the logical operator, so okay, so now we will check. So and is the one kind of the logical operator, return the true if both condition are true. Like for example, select star from student where the marks greater than 40 and the department id equal to 1. So if suppose I execute this query, so it will be the return the true value like marks equal greater than 40 and the department id equal to 1. So if I select this query and if I execute this query, so it will be student 1. So the sham it having the department id 1 as well and the marks greater than 15 like 15.50. So this will be written the it will be check the two condition. First condition is the marks greater than 40. If it will be the true, then it will be also check the another condition like department id 1. So if you check the output, so in output roll number 2 sham having the department id 1 and the marks also greater than 50. So this the record will be retrieved. Okay, and for example, if suppose the another operator or operator, it will be written the if at least one condition true, like either it will be marks greater than 40 or the department id 1. So if I suppose change it into the or condition, then you can check how many data it will be retrieved. Okay, then you can check the all four record will be retrieved because of it will be check the condition. Like so if you check the condition like marks, so if you check the marks greater than 40, so this mark also greater than 40, this will also 40 greater than 40, this 60, this will 80. So this condition true, then you can check the department id 1. So if you check the department id 1 as well as department id 2, both the data will be retrieved. So due to this condition, it will be data will be retrieved for the 2 as well. Okay, suppose I have changed the condition like marks greater than 60, then you can check how many data it will be retrieved. So if you check, as of now there is a 4 record. Now if suppose there is a 3 records because of we have the change condition like the department id 60, sorry, marks is a marks greater than 60. So you can check the ram department id 1, but marks is less than uh, the 60, but the due to the department id 1 it will be retrieve the data. Okay, this will also due to department id 1, this condition is true. Okay, this condition true, due to that this data will be retrieved. And also the 60, so you can check this is the department id 2, but still the data it will be retrieved. The reason is that this condition is true, either it this or this. So this is a different type of logical operator available in a SQL. Okay, okay. So then the different like not is the one another kind of the logical operator. Then fourth one is a like operator. So like operator that already we have checked in a previous session. So the like operator basically when we perform the string operation, like the string start with a then the string ending with a. Okay, so that time we will use the like operator. Okay, then fifth one is the in and between operator. So I will show you the example for that. I will take the example. Okay, so sixth one is the is null, is not null operator. So this is the one kind of the another operator that will be specified like the check if the condition has null value, and the second one is the is not null. It opposite for the is null. So it check the if the column does not have the null value. Okay, so it is a reverse operation. Okay, then the sixth one, then seven is the aliases. Okay, so this is the another one kind of the operator like so for example, uh, if suppose I will use, for example, I select alias operator. Okay, like for example, select star from student one. If suppose I will execute this query. Okay, and what I will do, instead of the roll number, I need to change the stud name as a student name, or the student name. Okay, instead of the roll number, I will suppose, for example, I need to change the column. It will be the another the name, like for example, roll number. I will use as. So as is the one kind of the operator, it will be change the column name, like instead of the roll number, I will use number. Okay, then for example, student name, instead of the stud name, I will use. If suppose I need student name, then I will use in a single quote. Okay, then I will use the comma. Okay, so if suppose I execute the query, then you can check the number. Instead of the roll number, it will be give the number, then the student, the name, it will be stud name, it will be showing as the student name, and whatever the existing columns. Okay, like this will be as operator, it will be used. Okay, so this is the seventh operator. Then eight, the join operator, that I will explain you. So the inner join, so the join, when we use the join keyword, this is the one kind of the operator like left join, right join. This is the another one kind of the operator. Okay, so this is a different type of operator like arithmetic, comparison, logical, pattern matching, like the like, then percentage sign, then underscore, then the range, like between in, then null, the join. So basically these are the different type of the operator available in the SQL. So now we will check the practical on the different type of operator. Okay, so the first question, retrieve all the student. So we will use the directly select star from student. So this is the operator that we will use like select or star. This is the one kind of the operator. Then find the student who score more than the 15 marks. Okay, so this way we can use the comparison operator. For example, if you suppose run this query, and if suppose I execute this query like student 1, So we will receive this data. Okay, so the student who have the marks greater than 15, like 15.5, 16, 18. So this is the another the operator. Then third, the for example, find the student from the department ID 1 or whose score above the 60 mark. Like previously we have checked this the question. So we'll replace student 1. So this query, it will be written like student who have the department ID 1 or they having the marks greater than 16. Okay. Then the question number 4, the find the student from the department ID 1 and whose score above the 50 marks. Okay. So you can check, this is the AND operator. So if suppose we select this query and we will execute this query, like this query, it will be written the data like it having the AND condition, it having the AND operator we use, like Sham having the department ID 1 and as well as the marks greater than 15. Okay. Then the find the student name, the starting with A. So this is the like operator. So for example, if we run this query, select star from student where the student name like the in A and then percentage sign, like this is the indicating that this is a like operator. Okay, so here we will replace the student 1. Okay, so select star from student 1 where the student name like, then in a single. Okay, the different type of operator, this is the different type of operator in SQL. So we will check the next one, the for example student whose name contain am, like this is the one kind of the like operator example. Then the next one is also like operator, then between operator. So for example, in a student table who have the marks between the 14 to 18. So this is the one kind of the question. Suppose for example, this is the one kind of the range. So for that we will use the between operator. So how we can use the between operator? So for example, this is a select star from student 1. This is my table where the marks between the 14 and 18. So whatever the data or whatever the marks between the 40 to 80, those data which will be retrieved. Okay. Then the find the student belong to the computer department 1 or 2. So basically how we can use the in keyword. So basically in operator, so you can use like this, select star from student where the department ID in. So whatever the value in this bracket, so all the data it will filter. So whatever the data like department ID 1 and department ID 2. So if you can check, if you execute this query, then you will receive the all the data. If suppose you will pass only the one, then only the computer department or department ID 1 data it will be written. Okay, so this is the in operator. And then not null. So basically, if suppose not null, basically it will be check the data having the not null, means basically the data having not having the not null. Okay, so you can run. So all the data is exist in the marks. So if suppose there is a null data, okay, so is null, I will remove the null. So you can check the node data will be returned because of the in a marks column there is a no null value. Due to that, it will be returned the the empty record. Okay, so basically it will be indicating that the if suppose the null record exists in a particular column, so only the null record it will be retrieved from the table. Okay, then next one is the display the student name, their score, and column, like for example custom column, like so for example student name as a student name and marks that I have already show as operator. Okay, then the join. So basically join, we have already checked this join. Then count the number of, like, so for example question number 14, you can check the count the number of student from the each department. So how we can count the each student from the each department, like for that we will use the group by clause, and we will use the count function. Okay, so how we can use a count function? So basically if you check, so select department id, because of we need to retrieve the data like the department, then count star as the total student, and then from the student group by the department id. So if I execute this query, then you will get department id 1 having the student 2, then department id 2 having the student, total count of the student is a 2. So this is the simple way for the retrieving the data from the table. So this is the different type of clauses available in the SQL. Okay, so now we will check for the different type of clauses. So basically the different type of clauses like select clause, where clause, order by clause. So these are the different type of clauses available in the SQL, and the function. So we will check how we can the different type of clauses and different type of functions. Okay, so the clauses, the we will check one by one. So first clause is a select clause. So when we execute the select query, like select star from student, it will be act as a select clause. Okay, where clause. So basically when we filter the data, so basically this is a student table, and where the mark greater than 15, so it act as a where clause. So this is the we called as a where clause. Order by clause, when we sorting the data like ascending or descending, so that time we will use a order by Mars descending. So this is the one kind of the clauses. Okay, then group by clause. So when we add the group by, so basically the this is the one kind of the group by clause. Then having clause, when we add the having in a particular the query, that act as a having clause. Okay, then join. So for example, if suppose we will join the two table, like the if I execute this query, so I will show you the practically. So this is my student table, and this is my department table. Okay, so TEPT department 1. So if I execute this query, then I will so the department name. Okay, so 1 second. So if I join these two table, so I will receive this output. Okay, so department name. Okay, department id, department name, like this. Okay, so these are the different type of clauses available in the SQL. Then distinct clause. So if suppose I need the distinct the output, like distinct the return the data, so at that time I will use the distinct keyword. Okay, then limit and top clause. So the basically the top clause, basically when we use in the MS SQL server. But if you are using the MySQL or PostgreSQL, then that time you will use the limit clause. Okay, then the offset. So in a MySQL you can use the offset. Then union clause, then union all clause. So I will show you the example. Okay, so union and union all. Okay, so basically, so for example, select star from the first is the student. So this is the output, and if suppose union all to the student, so union all, so I will receive the Okay, so for example, student 1. Okay, so I will use the same table. Okay, so all the data from the all the table. Okay, all the data it will be received, but in a union only the common element it will be retrieved. Okay, you can check only the common, the student name like Arun, then Nikita, then Ram, and then Sham. So this is the one kind of union all. This is again one kind of the operator. Then case statement. So basically the case statement that we will check practically. So for example, this is my student table and I want the return the data based on the case. Like for example, the marks, if suppose marks greater than or equal to 18, then we will provide the grade like a grade, B grade, or C grade. So what, how we can define like that? So basically select star from. So this is my table student. If suppose I execute this, so this is my student table, and in this student table, so marks is the 40, 15, like this is the marks. Okay, so if suppose I need the show the grade, like, so first is the, I will show you the roll number, first column, then student name, then department ID, and after that I need, so, greater than equal to 60, 40. Okay, so take the 60, student 1. Okay, so this way we can define the grade for the student marks. Okay, then the next SQL clauses, so this we have already discussed. Then now the last section is the remaining, that is the SQL. So basically aggregation function, then string function, and date function. So these are the different type of function available in the SQL. So out of that, the aggregation function we have already checked. The string function, that basically we will check in the session. Okay, so for the string function, I will directly go to the practical section and I will directly show you the different type of the string function. Okay, so aggregation function we have already checked, so I will not again discuss with the aggregation function. But the string function basically the concatenate, then substring, then length, then trim. So these are the different type of string functions. So basically concatenate function, it will be useful for the merge the student, for example, the it will be merge the two column. Okay, so for example, if suppose we have the the column like student name and department name, and suppose we will merge these two column into the one single column, that time we will use the concatenate. So how we can use the concatenate function? So for example, this is my student table. Okay, so for example, select star from, select star from student. This is for example, this is my student table, and if suppose there is a department ID and student name. So for example, if I want merge these two column in a single column. Okay, so for that, how we can use? For that I will use first of all the concatenate. So this is the concat function, and we will provide the column name. Okay, so column name, like, so first one is the student name, and then I will put a comma, then double colon, and in between that comma underscore, and then I will use the second column like department ID, and I will call as a student detail. Okay, so if suppose I will put these two column, student name, then department ID, and if I execute this query, then you can check, this is a student name and this is department, like, so we have created the new column like stud detail ram hyphen 1, then sham hyphen 1, arun hyphen 2, nikita hyphen 2, siddesh hyphen 0, and the pratik hyphen 0. So this is the department. Okay, so using the concatenate function, so basically this concatenate function is the, we call as the string function. Okay, so this function, it will be useful for the we can create a new column using the existing columns. Okay, so this is the first, the string function. Then I will explain the second string function. Okay, so the second string function is a substring. So basically, when we extract the particular length, like for example, the concatenate function, it will be useful for the, we can merge the two column into the one single column. The same like that, the substring, it will be useful for the extract the first three character from the student name. So how we can use, so if I copy this query, and instead of the student one, I will use one. Okay, so if I execute the query, then you can check, so the ram, so it having the already three character. Okay, so if suppose the uh, in a substring, basically student name, so basically this is the column name comma first. So first is it will be starting position for the string, like it will be first position to the how much, the it will be the next position like third position. So ram, this is the three character length, so it will be receive the all the data because of all the character, because of it is having the three character. Then sham, you can check, this is the length is the 4, so we need to only retrieve the length is the 3, so sha, only the 3 character it will be retrieved. Then arun, it having again 4 character. Then based on the condition like substring, basically we will retrieve the only the length is a 3, so we will receive the a first 3 character. Okay, then nikita, it having the first 3 character. If suppose we change it to the 4, then the first 4 character it will be retrieved. Okay, so if I execute the query, then you can check the 4 character, first 4 character it will be retrieved from the string. Okay, so this is the substring, this is the one again, the string function that will be useful for the specific range of the string. Okay, then the length, so basically the length function, basically it will be retrieve the length, how basically the length for that particular the string. Okay, so I will use the length function. Okay, so the select student then length, so it will be count the length of the particular string. So if you can check, If I execute, the Ram having the length is a 3, then Sham having the 4, Arun is a 4, then Nikita having the 6 character length. So it will be count the length for that particular string or particular that column, and it will be applicable only the whatever the character data type. It not applicable for the any kind of the numeric data. It will be applicable only the character or varchar or any kind of the text database. Okay. Then the trim function. So basically the trim function we need to, I will first of all I will show you the table. Okay. Select star from the student. For example, this is a student table, and in this student table, for example, the before the storing the data, like in a student name, this is a Ram. So what we will do, so I will add one more record in this student table. Okay, so for example, insert into student, then I will directly put the value. So for example, I will put the say one. Okay, so for example, when we store the data, that time if suppose the extra space is added, like for example, insert into student, then values. So we will adding the new record like 7 record, and before the adding, suppose for example by default it will be added one space, like this is the one space between the when we store the data, so that time, and after the space. Okay, so it will be also the ending the space. Okay, so if suppose I will insert this data. Okay, so data will be inserted, and if suppose you selected the data, so this the added the extra space when ending this value. So the trim function, basically what the trim function will do, so it will be remove the leading and existing the whatever the additional space. Okay, so for example, so trim function remove the extra space from the student name. Okay, so if suppose I will execute this query, instead of the student I will use the this one. Okay, so if I select the data from this table, so it will be remove the space, like you can check the before the starting the this variable this the value, there is a space, so it will be remove the space using the trim function. Okay, so there are two type of the trim function, L trim and then R trim. So L trim is left side, the it will be remove the left side the space. Okay, and then another one is the R trim, so it will be remove the right side the extra space. Okay, okay, so this is the one kind of the trim function, and then next one is the get function, date function, different type of date function. There are three type of date function. So first one is the get date, so it will be return the current date and time. So if I show you the, for example, if I select get date, so it will be return the current date and time. So this is the current date, like 22nd 3rd and 2025, and this is the current time. Okay, so this is a date get date function. Then second one is the date difference. So basically it will be give the difference between the two date. Okay, so if I, so this is the different like 2024 one first of first, so it will be show you the difference between the current date to the this date in a day, like 446 days. Okay, then third one is the date add, so we will also add the date in a current date. Okay, so how we can add the date? So for example, select date add day, in a 10 day we will add in a current date. Okay, so for example today is the 22nd, if suppose we add the 10 day, then it will be become a the 4th of 1, means next month first date. Okay, okay, so these are the different type of date formatting as well. So this date formatting and all these things that we will check in the next session. Okay, so this way we will complete the day 4 activity, the day 4 the syllabus